Hello, this is Bill. Welcome back. In this video, you'll learn how to create rollover buttons and invisible buttons. I've got my Flash movie plan already, so let's go ahead and take a look at what we will be creating in this video. Off on the left here, I've got 3 rollover buttons, one for NSU, one for OSU, and one for OU. The up state is gray, and when I position my mouse over top of any one of these buttons, or text here, I'm going to get a little red triangle off to the left, and the text will change to black. I've also got some invisible buttons, and if I press, for example, don't even press, if my cursor just appears here on top of Norman, I'm going to get a little OU. I've got those color, the color is based on the school colors. Stillwater is orange for OSU and green at NSU there. And I'm also going to go ahead and show you how to implement some links here. So if I actually press on this, it'll take me to the NSU website. Well, now that we know what we want to create, I'm going to go ahead and close my Flash movie, and I'm going to go ahead and close this file. Okay, at this point, I'm going to come along and create a new Flash file. I'm going to use ActionScript 2.0. It's going to make it very easy to add those external links. And the next thing, or the first thing I want to do, is simply get that map up on my stage. To do that, I'll come up here to File, and I'll go to Import, and I'm just going to import that straight to the stage. And the file is oklahomamap.gift, and open. And that has put that file right there on the stage there. Okay, at this point, I'm going to come up here, double click on Layer 1, I'll call this my background, and hit Enter. And I'm going to go ahead and press on this little icon right underneath the lock. Go ahead and lock that layer. And while I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and insert another layer. Press on the Insert Layer icon. And this layer is going to be called my buttons. And hit Enter there. Okay, at this point, I'm ready to start creating my rollover buttons right over here. And to do that, I'm going to open up my library. Come up here to Window. I'm going to go to Library. And at this point, I'm going to come down here and press on this little icon right here, which will create a new symbol. Well, the first button I'm going to create is going to be, I'm going to call it NSU underscore button, and I can see the type is button, and I'll go ahead and press OK. Well, the text on that NSU button is going to be a shade of gray. And I'll go ahead and change my fill color, and I'll come along and use my text tool, and I'll simply type NSU. Okay, maybe I'll use my selection tool if I want, and I can always reposition that. Okay, so on my upstate, that means my mouse is not on top of the text. I'm going to have a gray NSU. For my overstate, I'm going to go ahead and press F6, or I can come up here and go Insert, Timeline, and I'm going to choose a keyframe. And on this, all I'm going to do is 2 things here. The first thing I'm going to do is highlight this text, and I'm going to change the color to black. Press on my selection tool to deselect that. And now I want to go ahead and add that red triangle with, I believe it had a black border on the outside. And to do that, I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a couple times here. That's probably enough. And I'll go ahead and use my line tool. I'll just simply drag out a little line and finish this off. Okay, and I believe that was shaded with red, so I'll go ahead and change my fill color to red. I'll use my paint bucket and fill that in. Okay, my down of state or frame is going to be identical to my over, so I'm just going to simply press F6 to insert a keyframe there. So my upstate, gray, text is all. If my mouse is over top of it, I'll have black text with the red triangle, and the same thing. If I actually press down on it, it's going to stay black there. Okay, so this one is finished, at which point I'm now going to go ahead and right click on it. I'm going to go to Duplicate, and I'm going to create one called OSU underscore button, and I'll press OK. And I'm going to go ahead and kind of click right here, double click on it to make sure you've got the OSU and not the NSU. Okay, this one's going to be really simple. I'm going to simply press on the Type tool, And I'm going to change this text. Rather than saying NSU, it's going to say OSU. And the same thing for the over. Just simply change the text, OSU, and the down, OSU. And to go ahead and check that, here's my up, over, and down. And one more time, I'll go ahead and right click, choose duplicate. This one will be my OU. And press OK. Double click on it. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and I've got my type tool. I'm going to go ahead and press on my selection tool. Double click on this to make sure OU button is selected. Press on my type tool. Now all I need to do is delete an S out of my up, delete an S out of my over, and the same thing with the down state. Okay, and to check that, I'm going to go ahead and change that to my selection tool, my up, over, and down. Okay, at this point, I'm ready to come back to my scene. And I'm ready to insert those buttons. So I'll go ahead and simply drag over my NSU button, my OSU button, and my OU. And maybe if I want, I can go ahead and position these a little bit. And there we go. Okay, these are not actually working right now. If I came up here to control test movie, the color is going to change, and I'm going to get that red triangle, but they're not working as far as if I pressed on here, nothing's going to happen. But we can see we've got our rollovers working, and now to actually implement that, I'm going to come along, let me go ahead and close my library, and I'm going to come up here to Window and Behaviors. Well, I'm going to go ahead and first of all start off with NSU, highlight it, I'll press on this little plus icon, add a behavior, and I'm going to add web, go to web page. And all I need to do is simply put the URL of the NSU web page here, nsuok.edu, press OK. Repeat that process for OSU, press on the little plus, go to web page. And the URL here is okstate.edu, and press OK. And finally for OU, press on the plus sign, go to web and web page, and enter the URL here, ou.edu, and press OK. And I'll go ahead and close that out. And I'm not actually going to do it. I'll go ahead and play it one more time here, test my movie. But if I was actually to click on this, now it would take me to the NSU web page, the OSU web page, and OU. Okay, the last thing we need to do is work on some invisible buttons for the 3 cities. And I'll go ahead and close that. To create those invisible buttons, I'm going to first of all open up my library. I'm going to come to Window, Library. And like I did earlier, I'm going to first of all press on this little plus sign, which will create a new symbol. And I'll call the first one NSU _ circle. And it's going to be a button, and I'll go ahead and press OK. Okay, the upstate of this is going to be just nothing. When my cursor is not on top of Tahlequah, nothing is appearing. I'm going to go ahead and press on the overstate, and I'll press F6. And here's where we'll insert that green circle, and we'll put the text NSU. Well, I'm going to go ahead and now change my fill color. I'll get a shade of green here. And I'll come along and use my oval tool. And I'm going to drag out an oval. And if I hold the shift key down, I'm going to guarantee I get a perfect circle there. Okay, now to add the text, I'll change this back to white, press on my text tool, and I'll come along and type NSU. And at this point, I'll go ahead and use my selection tool, and I'll go ahead and I'm just going to use my arrow keys on my keyboard to reposition that. And I'm going to have the down state be the same, so if someone actually pressed down on that, it's going to be the same thing, and I'll just simply press F6. So my up state is nothing, so if my mouse is not over top of Tahlequah, nothing. If it is, I get NSU, and if I press down, I also get NSU. Okay, that was my NSU circle. Let me go ahead and duplicate that. I'm going to right click on it. I'm going to choose duplicate, and I'll call this next one my OSU _ circle. and I'll press OK. And I'm going to go ahead and double click right here just to make sure I've got my OSU circle. And I'm now going to come to my overstate, and OSU is orange. I'm going to go ahead and highlight the green here and see if I can find a shade of orange. And then what I need to do is use my type tool, and I'll change this from NSU to OSU. And there we go. So I've got my overstate. For my downstate, it might be easier. I'm just going to simply highlight this frame right here, and I'm going to right click and hit remove frames. Then I'm going to turn right around and press F6 or add a keyframe. And there we go. So my up, nothing. My over, orange circle with OSU, and my down, an orange circle with OSU. I've got one more to do. Right click, choose duplicate, and this is going to be my OU underscore circle, and press OK. I'm going to double click on it to make sure I get the OU circle, and my upstate, perfect. My overstate, I'm going to go ahead and press, well, let me come along here, and first of all, I'll tell you what, I'll go ahead and use my type tool. Having a little trouble there. And let me get rid of that S, and I'll come along and move that over just a little bit. And let me see if I can highlight the orange here. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to change that to red. Okay. For my down, I'm going to do the same thing I did earlier. I'm going to go ahead and remove this frame. That was simply a right click, highlight right back in here, and insert a keyframe. And there we go. So my up, nothing. My over, and my down will be a red circle with OU. Okay, at this point I'm ready to come back to my scene. And I'm going to drag out NSU circle right here on top of Tahlequah. My OSU circle goes on top of Stillwater. And my OU circle on top of Norman. And we're ready to animate. Take a look at this. Let me come up here to Control, Test Movie, and let's take a look. Great, perfect, and perfect. And over here, my rollover buttons, they're actually working. If I was to press on one of these, it would open up to the Oklahoma State University's website and to the University of Oklahoma. And I've got my invisible buttons also working with the school colors there. Well, that concludes this video. Hope you learned a little bit on creating rollover buttons and invisible buttons. I'll catch you in the next video. Thank you.